Good evening. You're listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I am your host, Rob. I'm sitting here in the Extreme Studios just west of Orlando, Florida. I am in my three-car garage in my BMW 7 Series from the late 90s and reminiscing about one of the best action movies of the early aughts. And of course, after Blade, there would be very few. I'm talking about The Transporter from 2002. This is a Corey Yuen or Yan or whatever the hell his name is
Yes.
movie, which I didn't realize at the time how significant with all the action
When I
movies
first
out
watched,
there are
same
today.
here.
Yeah,
When I
and
first
I gotta
watched
tell
it,
you,
wow.
now I
I
was gonna
first,
say this movie is fantastic. It's great. I will say this initially. I don't think Jason Statham's gotten any better at all. You could say it's gotten redundant, and I don't give a shit. I will still put this movie up there with Blade and The Bourne Identity, which
yeah,
the holy trinity of those three films I mentioned there from like 98 to 2003, I think is when the Bourne movie came out. I honestly, in my heart of hearts, believed at that time in my early 30s that we were going to get that next wave of action movies because the best thing
yes,
about this movie is it's got a European flair to it with suits. There's a prettiness to it, a sexiness, but you can watch this if you're an 8 or 10-year-old boy and think he's the coolest shit ever. You watch it, it doesn't have a lot of dialogue in it. It's pretty and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. In 5 minutes, they introduce the character, they show his particular set of skills because let's not forget Taken a few years later. Man, this thing is a fucking gem. This is such a great movie. It's been a long time since I'd watched it.
yes.
What's your take on it? I know you're a big
So
Jason.
I forgot. I did really actually. I don't think I ever knew that Corian was. I never really looked to see who actually was involved in this.
Makes
I knew it was a
sense.
Luke. I know Luke Besson was
Yeah,
involved in the screenplay.
Besson, he does these kind of characters.
Yeah.
These kinds
Well,
of things. It's good.
Luke Besson. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was he the professional?
You see?
Leon. Yes.
Yeah.
Leon the professional. So, very fantastic movie. Yeah. Corian, if you don't know who Corian is, Corian did a lot of Hong Kong action movies in the 80s. It's just a lot of the Jackie Chan stuff. He was involved with that. And I think he was also involved with Cynthia Rothrock. Not Rothrock. It was the other one. Cynthia Khan.
Well, Cynthia Khan would be the other Cynthia. He did
Yeah.
Millionaires Express, which we've covered here too.
Yes.
He worked on Fist of Fury with Bruce Lee back in the day. Here, this
Yeah.
guy's the deal. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed that work with that, and it was just been a fantastic movie. I mean, going back and watching this, it is just like okay, I remember this, like okay, I don't remember that, but like for the most part, even though the fact that I remember everything that's in this movie, it was still enjoyable because this is one of my staple Jason Statham movies. This is where his career started for me. I know he's in Lock, Stock, Smoking Barrels before this, but maybe right around. I know that if it wasn't shortly before. Guy for tone, it's right above my head. Transporter. This was a 2002 movie review we're doing here, and just Jason Statham was just fantastic in this. Very young, early 30s, and just this was the new wave of action movies coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, like okay, we had the 90s kind of action stuff, speed and stuff. With Jason Statham in there, this was a foreign film. This wasn't even an American film. This was actually formed over for France, and the French language is also filmed, in just English stuff for us. Just had fun with this because it was barely a guy. He's ex-forces, or Navy SEAL, ex-forces, whatever, something like that. And he basically would go around. His job was basically he transported. He did deliveries. He didn't ask. He wanted no names. He doesn't care who you are.
First
rules. First rule, yeah.
Don't change the terms of the deal.
Yeah, it's still the same. Yeah, and no names and stuff like that. And just don't look in the package.
Simple.
Yeah. And of course, everything. And I love it because you get these awesome car chases in here, and on the front because he has a It's like a James Bond thing. He has a rotating license plate.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it just rotates.
Don't you kind of smile when that happens? Like you're like,
oh,
okay,
it's gonna
be one of these kind of movies, right?
The oil slick he has in the back of his car too was pretty cool too.
Mm-hmm.
I said he's like a James Bond car. Like, why would you not do this? And we got this cop who pretty much is French detective, PI over inspector. He's like, I know it was you, but I can't prove it. But I know it was you. And they kind of have this tense kind of relationship. When he comes over and talks to him, it's kind of like what was the movie we watched with Cary Grant? To Catch a Thief.
To Catch a Thief.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah.
Yes, Monte Carlo in Nice area.
Yeah. and honestly, a guy you're bringing up is saying all his movies seem close to being the same formula. Honestly, that's not a bad thing. I really enjoy
I
this.
agree with you, but here's the thing. One of the things I thought long and hard about this, because I watched it this morning, was like, why do I keep coming back to Transport? Not because it's newer, it's fresher, those memorabilia things that we talk about, right? That brings back good memories. It's the fact that it's rewatchable. And
Yes,
you can just get caught up in like Moonraker is the perfect James Bond one. Some people hate that thing; it's the biggest piece of shit, and it's too long. But there's a rewatchability quality to it, despite how
it's
shitty some people think it is. It's
this
just
is
one of those
like
things where you can just
uh,
put it on and watch it forever. It's
this is
just
like
it's just hypnotic.
this is a movie. Just like if you see it on TV, I'm gonna sit down and watch the rest of it. I do that with Broken Arrow. One of the worst movies there is, John Travolta, Christian Slater. But if it's on, I'll watch it. I don't care.
Or
I'm
the
like,
Get
it's
Carter remake by Stallone, which I love and
yeah,
everybody hates.
right. So honestly, this is, if you've never actually watched this movie, do yourself a favor. Go to Amazon Prime or even go online. You can buy it. You can buy a Blu-ray probably for really cheap. Walmart might even have the collection. No, now I'll just say this: watch the first two. The third one was okay,
They,
but
they get really campy in the second and third.
yeah, and Skip Reloaded. It has nothing to do
Yeah,
with Jason Statham. Jason
yeah.
Statham was busy doing, I think it was Expendables or something else, so he didn't have time to do it. So they got a new guy, and it just
Well,
felt weird.
I will say this, and I think this might be controversial. I think I mentioned to you briefly and texting or whatever, and I think
Yeah,
it's going to be a hot take. Luc Besson helped with Studio Canal that does a lot of these European type films. He helped produce 2 seasons of a television show based off of this IP called The Transporter.
yeah.
Second season I wasn't really much of a fan of, but the actor was on a season of Dexter and some other stuff. I think guy's name escapes me. He's fantastic. And I'm telling you, anybody listening, this Transporter TV show, the first season really is a lot like this
Mhm.
first movie. It's very enjoyable and escapist. And there's a prettiness too, RDV. There's not a sexiness, because sexiness you think of whatever, but there's a hint of it because he's dressed up in a suit. He's got
Would
the
you?
driving gloves. He's got the really clean BMW, listening to the classical music. The second one, it's hey, wait a minute. I just,
Yeah.
press my suit. Let me take my jacket off. And here it's like he pulls the over and he's like, hey, I just treated the leather.
So
If you're going to throw up, do it out the window. There's cute stuff
yeah,
in here to like.
yeah. When that show came out, though, I gotta ask you, uh, were you really interested in watching it, or because honestly, from when I first heard about it, I was like, well, it's not Jason Statham. He's the character. It's like replacing Rocky
I
and having
wanted
Rocky
to
series.
try it because at the time, and we're going back about 20 years. I think this is a great question and probably content for another stream. Is that where do people take a movie and lose it for television? It might not be quite the same
Mhm.
conversation as say Fallout is, because that's a game
Yeah.
property to television. But how do you take something that's well and has an audience and has a particular style to it that you can instantly
Hmm.
recognize, like the Transporter, and make it work? And
That's why
I
it's
was
so
curious
hard.
to see if it would, and I'm telling you, I think season 1 did. The actor, I'm gonna look him up right now.
Yeah, it
He
is.
nails it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say it is hard to do that, especially if you're doing it where we have a beloved character. Now, I would say if you're gonna do this, have a different character, and we can still
Chris
do the same kind of
Vance.
from. Yes, and it's also hard too because when you have TV shows, they try to make them in the movies. They lose all of that extra time they have to develop, the character stuff, and have to pack
Mhm.
it into a 2 hour movie. But now we're doing 3 to 4 hour movies with John Wick. It's like, do I want to sit through a 4 hour movie, or would I rather just watch like a couple seasons of a great TV show?
Give me
You know,
90 minutes for a
yeah,
movie, and I mean, I don't mind the longer movie.
yeah.
You know that. I don't
Could
care
you
if it's
could you
so
sit there
long.
at John? Okay, now back then they were doing Miami Vice, and they did a movie with those characters. Can you sit through a 4 hour movie?
Well, 2006, 2007, when they did the Miami Vice
Well,
movie.
no, I'm not before that. I'm
I'm
just saying,
saying,
like, I'm just saying before season 5, before they did this, before it got bad. Um, would you could you have sat through a Miami Vice movie with original actors, original directors, based, just to keep the '80s style for like 2 or 3 hours? Or would you say, or do you still, are you one of those people that thinks like, hey, I don't care how good it is, it's too long.
time doesn't matter to me.
Okay,
Um,
yeah,
you
that's kind
know,
of how I am, and so getting back to this, though, like I said, this is a fantastic movie. Spawned did a trilogy, and then of course he couldn't come back, so they did another movie with either guy, which bombed. Then they did a show, and it felt like a lot of these movies were getting shows at the time. Shooter was another one, Mark Wahlberg's, but it was Ryan
That was
Philby.
digestible for television.
Yeah, and
I've seen worse.
and we also had Limitless, all had its own TV series too.
See, now I did not watch that.
Yeah,
but that was an interesting movie.
It just sounded like this around that period. All of a sudden, everything had like a TV show coming out, and I was just like, I'm still kind of display. I probably will never watch the TV show for this movie, but I like Jason Statham. He's the reason why I got into the role, and everything just fit well. Like I said, he was like he wasn't your James Bond, but he was more like the guy. He's like, I'll fucking beat you up. I don't give a shit. You know, he was kind of like Vinnie Jones in a sense.
Doesn't have to talk. Doesn't have to raise his voice.
Yes, and like, don't fight me. You know, and the guy's like, well, see, now you just made me mad. You spilled something on my shirt. Now I'm gonna beat the crap out of you. And and Jason Statham, like, is obviously he was a professional Olympic swimmer. Actually, was before this. And then yes. They don't hold back because when he has to go fight the big dude, everybody inside the garage, so he spills the grease and takes his shoes off so he can skate, sling around, and he's just taking out all the guys one by one. It was like almost like a ballet thing till he gets the big dude. And you're like, I love this. Every movie there's always a giant. He's like, oh shit, I got to go against this guy. Yeah, it's like, because I look at movies like Reacher, and I love Reacher with Tom Cruise, and then you look at the movies or the show with Alan Richardson. I'm sure they probably changed some of the show for because I was wondering, because was the movie based off a book, or was the movie kind of like, and now my question is, the book, was it accurate to the book? Or was it a TV show accurate to the book?
The biggest thing in the Reacher movie with Tom Cruise, the first one, and I'm not talking about the second one, is that it was like, I don't know, the 12th, 15th, I don't know, whatever, because there's like a book a year for like 30 years for that approximately. It was an interesting story. It's very detective-y. You did not have to really think about Cruise's physical stature of like maybe 5'6", 5'7", whatever he is, and you know, he's a very fit guy. He takes care of himself. Obviously, we know that. But he's not 6'3", 6'4", 240 like Alan Rickson is. Or
James Statham is like, what, 5'10", 5'11"?
No, he's probably a strong 5'9", 5'10"-ish, 180 pounds or whatever. And he has a swimmer's build, so it's very kind of like lean and compact. And I saw some pictures of him when he was an actual diver, because I'd heard of him as an athlete. But here's the thing that I like about European films in a sense. Sometimes they're an extreme movie show growing up in the 80s. I could only watch stuff that was like foreign if I rented it out or whatever, because it's going so much. And I loved this different I love the different attitude towards sexuality that European films convey. Just like Europeans,
they're more open. They don't want to censor things. Yeah,
and it depends on which culture, but also sex versus, you know, relationships and violence is all a little different. So in America, it gets a little whatever, right? But the thing is here you take Jason Statham, they don't make him homosexual like at all. He's very quiet, but he's dressed very European. His clothes are very form-fitting, very snug. He's got a nice physique. They're not afraid to show it off. The Asian lady in here, she was one of the first ones in here that I assume she was a big name in China, but in China, you have to be very careful.
Shu Qi.
Shu Qi or Qi or whatever.
Yeah.
She's very pretty. She takes well to the screen. She's really petite. And so they make like a good couple. She rewards him with saving his life, you know, to having sex, and they just show her in her panties. They don't really show them really getting it on, which is fine. But the scene you're talking about with the oil and all that, we've seen this with Corey Yuen and a lot of stuff, Millionaires Express, all these other ones. We're going to get a hallway fight scene. We get a creative one here. We get somebody going through glass. We get tumbles. And let's not forget, what does he transport in? Cars. So we get some over-the-top car chase scenes, which at the time, you know, this came out before you had Jason Bourne, which has a phenomenal one, and it's probably one of the best driving sequences I've ever seen. And the second Bourne one might even be better, but for some reason I love Paul Oakenfold, Ready, Steady, Go, while they're driving around Paris, and I was like, come on, last chance. And then the music starts. That's 100% A+ grade A cinema. Here it's just fun. You know,
this was one of my dad's favorite. He liked the James Bond films. He liked this because the cars, the car scenes. When he's being chased and he's driving through things and it just like, it's just action scenes like this, you know. And I like, you know, I love foot chases, but car chases are always great. That's why everybody loves James Bond, you know. The car chases and just dodging and just, you know, almost ruining your car, but also you're still driving.
You
We
people
see
today
this with
don't love cars as much.
whoa, Ryan O'Neal and
Well,
Driver.
well, The Driver, yeah, it's a great film.
The
But
Driver,
I think
same.
younger people today wait longer to get their license. They don't have the
I got
they
mine
don't
when I
have
was
the
19. Yeah,
um I had mine
I
when I was
know.
16, I think.
Did you go through
Everybody
high
24.
school?
You could always get it through high school if you wanted
Okay.
to. But
I waited until I was out of school, then I got my license because I realized that I just needed it for a job. I wasn't really going around. Hey, I'm gonna go get my license and pick up chicks. So I was like, when am I gonna pick them up in a station wagon? I am freaking not.
it didn't matter, and that was the whole
Yeah,
point. You'd go
yeah,
to a mall, and whatever beater car you had, it didn't
yeah.
it didn't care. But it was more. It wasn't even the pickup chicks things. It was the fact that represent freedom,
You
and
know,
it's the
yeah,
first thing you could put effort into, and time and money. And if you're in the hood, you'd have some
sure.
people who'd go really crazy. It would say, "Hey, this is what I'm about," whatever. Your person, people drive around at all the hot spots and all that.
It's a lot
Oh
different
man,
than when you the '80s when you're growing up.
oh
Where
man,
I was, I wasn't 18 till 2003.
could you make a bullet today,
Uh,
Steve McQueen?
well,
Do people really care
oh,
about
okay, okay. You're talking about the movie, okay? I
exactly,
was like,
right?
yeah, I can make bullets. So yeah, recycle all the
French
time.
Connection. That's a great scene.
Yes.
I don't think
Yeah.
people care anymore about that.
No, that's the thing, and that's the Michael Mann brought to a lot of these things. You see these car chases, a lot of the stuff, and here's today's car chases, Fast and Furious. That's what they think is a cool thing, and I don't want to rip on Fast and Furious, but the stories were dumb. The cars are like, oh, that's cool and stuff. It's like I'll just say this: Fast and Furious is like a kid playing with Hot Wheels. That's all it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was no substance to it whatsoever. It was all about the cars. And eventually it was like the first Fast Furious is probably the best one and my only favorite one other than Tokyo Drift. I don't care for all the other spy stuff. What it was is that it was racing for pigs. The first that first movie, the 10-second car and stuff. The
Sup,
whole
bro?
tension. That
Reach
was it.
lips.
Yeah. So, yeah. Getting back to this movie, though, I said the car chase in here too. Jason Statham having a fighting scene here too. Him breaking his third rule because he looked the package, and turns out it's this beautiful Taiwanese girl, and he basically falls in love with her. At first, he doesn't want to he's afraid she's gonna scream, yell, so he has her tied up, and he's trying to have dinner with her. And eventually, well, she's into being tied up, I guess. And they kind of have a relationship going on, and he helps save her from these bad guys at the end, while also trying to avoid the nosy French inspector who basically is trying to pin him for all these different things he's done illegal.
But he did it in a very French way. When I was younger, I used to go, "Oh, this guy's annoying." When I got older, like, no, that's exactly how they would do it. They expect a certain amount of charm. Can you come in? You want tea or coffee? Can you want to come in and sit down and we talk? That's a European sensibility. You discuss stuff, but you take care of your priorities first.
And
is these little social niceties.
And as because this guy the inspector also knew Frank as well too. He's like, he's from Milan stuff. He's basically kind of like a father figure to him. Inspector Tarconi, played by François Berléand, I think it's Berléand. I'm not sure what else I didn't look at his IMDb what he sees else he's in, but he's just like he's like, I know it's you.
That guy.
Yeah, I know it's you. It's like and he's like, I don't know what you mean.
Friends with Frank Martin.
That's they do at the end. It's like, let's go fishing.
He was that good. Yeah.
Let's go yeah. And the inspector at this point, he's like, he doesn't care yet because he just wants to go fishing too. He just want to be disturbed.
Well, that's also very European. Work your 35 hours a week, have your 2-3 months off, and
because
when you're 50, 55.
Yeah,
I don't blame them. I'm serious. That's why we have in Europe.
They also
weeks and everything else.
They also this guy probably realizes that Frank's not a bad guy. He's not going around pushing drugs and all stuff.
The whole point.
Yes,
and I love it. It's there from the very beginning. Once he realizes he's a good guy, he still has to do his job. Frank knows that they have that little speak like when he's like, would you walk with me for a minute, Frank? And he's walking up, and then they talk about everything in the third person. It would be a shame if blah 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 blah, but you wouldn't know anything about it. We've heard all this stuff before, right? But you're like, okay, I dig it. I want to talk for a minute about something that I really, really dig, because I've said this a lot of times before, and I think we have a certain agreement, not that it's an absolute rule, but the idea is that, in sports sometimes or fights, we say matchups make the fight. Not two great guys, but two different guys. Two best of the best, but different. One's a striker, one's a counter puncher, whatever. So here we have a bad guy. We found out it's an international bad guy, but like everything else, going back to the 50s, 60s, probably ever since there was action films, you got to go up the boss chain. So the local French boss guy that we deal with, he's horribly dressed in that he has two very bold pin patterns on his shirt and that whatever. You don't make the same pattern underneath shirt and top shirt, but whatever. But you've got the really loud handkerchief and all. It's a little European whatever. But I like it because he's the bad guy because he squints. And when Frank comes up to deliver, he knows he's the good guy, and it's like, oh, that's right, no rules. I forgot. And he's like,
Yeah.
I like this guy. And then later on, he's like, I like this guy. Wait a minute, you deliver this, and it was a bomb basically gonna like take him out to cover their tracks because
Yep.
Frank did follow his own rules. He delivered
Yep.
the package. It wasn't until the bomb blew up when he was getting a drink off the side of the road they
No.
went back to kick their ass or whatever, and then
Turns out
now I'm gonna save her and go up the food chain until
Yeah.
he finds the Asian baddie.
Well, turns out her father wanted her back, and pretty much he's at this point. I'm not going to put this point. The whole movie is that the inspector's in on this, and he says like hey, just pretend that she's your girlfriend. The cops will leave alone. The bad guys show up. They fire missiles at his house. I'm like, gee, I wonder if this is where Iron Man got the idea to fire missiles, and they managed to blow it up with the bad guys.
Let me ask you. I've been to Europe. I've been to the south of France. It's not a flex. I was there before 9/11.
Yeah.
Things are different. Being honest. That being said, the Panhandle, Florida's got some of the best looking beaches I've ever seen in my life. My wife's been to Hawaii. She says they're beautiful too, but they're different because of the volcanic. They're dark, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the weather and the food and everything in the south of France and Spain and that whole coast area is fucking fantastic. I'm watching this movie while they're driving around the first 5 minutes and he's zooming through. And even the simple physical stunts of like him going down the Palisades right next to the beachfront and the guy has to run between two pillars and just little things like that. It's stylish and it's slick. But like I said before, and I thought your reference to Catch a Thief was perfect in that not only they're both south of France, it's you get to see all this in the background, the Mediterranean sun. You're outside. It's not like you have a death claw that's CGI created and it's in the dark in a TV show called Fallout that we just recently reviewed here, episode 4, season 2, ladies and gentlemen.
Shameless plug
check it
there.
out. It's not shameless at all, and I feel great talking about it. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
That's what makes this movie, I think, really rewatchable because it's fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's going to be competent. It's not sandbagging, right? He's a good-looking guy. He's got a nice physique. What's there to be afraid of? Any excuse you can, RDV. And this is how I grew up. To take your shirt off, you take it off.
If I recall, he's not using any guns in this movie too. He's not trying to.
He's not trying to. He does a little bit, but it's not like John Wick, right?
Because the guy, he pretty much knows how to disarm people and stuff. Being in foreign special forces with the British special forces, so he knows how to do all that stuff. I love it when they basically go to blow up the house. He runs, takes her to a little patchway underneath the.
Is it overkill?
Yeah. No,
maybe, but come on, that's a sick bachelor crib, bro. Tell me,
it's not overkill.
Party was a guy to sit there and go, hey, that's what I need to work my life for. This guy's in his 30s or 40s, maybe the character. Maybe I can have a bachelor pad like that. If you remember back in the 60s with Mission Impossible, when the guy would get everybody together to pick his team, he was in a swinging singles bachelor pad. It was a sick crib. Yeah,
the mechanic.
He had been emphasized not to appreciate really fucking cool man cave. And I hate to say man caves because a man's castle is his cave. It's not the fucking room the lady lets him have. That's bullshit. But that I'm looking at that going, this is absurd and totally European. And I love it. I'm sorry. End of rant.
I'll just say this. I don't need a man cave. Just leave my garage alone. Otherwise, you're parking outside. It's like you can have the house. I just want the garage. If you want me to expect me working on stuff, leave my tools alone. Don't touch them. Don't even look at them. It's like, yeah. But high octane adventure, fun stuff. Beekeeper was a fun, as Jim points out. That felt like return back to these type of movies into the early 2000s. The Mechanic, and Transporter 1 and 2, just fantastic films. Even Mechanic number 2 was really good too. I like that one with Jessica Alba.
We did at least the first Mechanic, Jason Statham one, but of course that's based off of the really really dark one actually.
Well,
that
Josh Bronson. We reviewed. I
too.
think we. Reviewed,
Jan Michael Vincent, yeah, because that's dark.
I
Yeah,
thought we reviewed both.
we may have. It's
We
been a
might.
while.
It's been 5 years. So whatever we reviewed, and we'll probably review again. We'll probably review this another 5 years. Who knows?
Yes.
But
Oh yeah.
fantastic movies. Jason Statham. If you're for those who are like, well, we only look from Expendables, well, yada yada. It's like, no, he was, and then he's don't worry about him being like in the Spy Hard movie, whatever what it was with Elizabeth McCarthy. That's not the Jason Statham. So a lot of people are who saw well, the Beekeeper, and it was the other one, Levin's Trade. I think it was the other one. I can't remember what it was called. The most recent one we reviewed with him.
Don't even remember the name.
Yeah, but it was him.
The January Jason movie is what I call it.
Well, it was Jason Statham rescuing this. He was a construction worker, and basically Chuck Dixon had wrote the script for it.
That's right. We did. That was the last one we did. Yep.
Yeah, and he had to basically rescue this guy's like his boss's daughter who had been kidnapped and stuff. And he goes in and he just takes out these people one by one, and it's just a fantastic movie. We've seen this before. We see House was another one, the little Chinese girl, and he basically had protected her too. He was a former cop, and just like I love Jason Statham. They may be all the same, but here's the thing about it, they're all good for the most part.
Two concepts here. We're dancing around, but I think they're significant because I can't off the top of my head think of one before Jason. Jason having the Shu Qi in there, we've known since the 90s that China invested a shit ton of money in the United States because I think we made them a Party of Five member or whatever.
Yeah.
Forgive me, I'm not trying to be political here in the sense that, but basically the Western market opened up, so we started making movies that were less anti-commie, anti-Chinese, anti-whatever. And so you start seeing this, like it would be a nice crossover to have an Asian representation here for their audience and their budget. Now, European, they're a bit more multicultural when it comes to that, at least back then they were. So that's just a thing that we see to this day. Now you have every box checked for every reason, but we won't go there too deep. But I think the other thing too here, RDV, is that, you're talking about action movies, you're talking about trends, right? So, I mean, does this movie, can you think of a trend that this movie might have started, or is it just kind of there in the early 2000s?
Well, I was just say this: the car chase movies we were starting to get this, and then we started seeing it more with the Mission Impossible movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much influence this movie had with that herself, or vice versa. Fast Furious comes around like 2000, 2001 or two. After this, we start seeing. We had like the guy who plays the bad guy here, Wall Street Calm. He was in Fast and Furious and also in Fast Five. So you're seeing a lot of crossover. And a lot of people are just basically being influenced by one another, and you just saw a lot of these chase movies start popping up.
Yes,
and just a car oriented movies. Just like the 80s, everything we had, all the car movies. We had Knight Rider. We had just all these different like shows that focus on vehicles. It was Make the PI. You had the car, helicopter too. And just like everything was just action oriented.
Yeah.
Yes. You took something like, hey, like that worked for them. What would we do differently when we won't get sued? But overall, as I said, this literally is To Catch a Thief, but like more updated and just with more like a Jason Bourne kind of like a car chase thing too, almost, and also crossover with Mission Impossible, and just a guy who normally looks the other way, but he has a conscience, decides, well, I look at the package now. I feel obligated. This, and it just turned into something where a guy who was a lonely guy just did everything. He broke his own rule, and well, he got rewarded. He got a girlfriend out of it too. And I can't remember what happened. Something happened. Like she designed the second one. They wrote her off or whatever.
Yeah.
Every Transformer movie, he got a new girl. He had Taiwanese, and then the third one he had some Russian. He said these movies were good, were fun. Early 2000s. Also remember, this is early 2000s before movies were being highly censored and DEI focused on. They didn't care. This was basically just, hey, we can say what we want to say here and not have to worry about people canceling us and say, oh, that's offensive, or because no one cared back then. There wasn't this big movement, that Hollywood, was still normal, or like, I guess whatever you call normal, but like normal than what it is today. So I said, you allow the chance for these movies to happen. There's still, I still believe today, there's still people out there like you and I and other people that want action movies.
Mm-hmm.
but we don't want this forced and sloppy AI and DEI crap. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's a reason why the Running Man failed,
Yes.
because it wasn't Arnold, and two, it just felt okay. We've seen this before. You know, it was the opposite. It's like imagine if when we okay, the reason Reacher, the TV show, was popular because it was just fantastic. People still like the Tom Cruise movies, but when you go to do like another movie, reboot or something, and people love it, well, this is supposed to be more like the book. Well, the reason why this remake didn't do the ending, because the original ending of the book, the character dies, you know, and that was a horrible ending, so they changed it. So this movie was just like, okay, we're just getting Colin Powell or whatever his name is, whatever, who had pretty much, you know, is in Twisters, which was a better movie, and it was just rehash, but with less like funny moments. Arnold is just fantastic. He's a physical character actor, and as soon as they let him start speaking, they realize, oh my gosh, this guy is hilarious. You know, we do like him in Conan. We also like him in Terminator. But instead, so when you start changing things just to change them, and you're like, why didn't this work? Well, it worked back in the 80s because
You've got to know why it works though before you can change it.
And that's why I don't like a lot of these reboots. Now here's the thing though, the Mechanic though, I did like. I thought that was a great reboot for Charles Bronson with Jason Statham.
Mm-hmm.
Now this wasn't a reboot. This is more like a, hey, let's say like instead of having a James Bond spy, this is a guy who just is basically mercenary, private mercenary for his own stuff, and he works on his own car. He knows how to tune it, and he basically let's combine James Bond without the MI6, working for himself, and then the guy who's used to basically getting his way and having a nice fancy dinner, whatever, doing what's his life is interrupted, changed up when he breaks his own rule. Like that is a fantastic idea.
Yeah,
I would
simple,
hate. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this rebooted with somebody else. And I said, the TV series back then was like 2015, I think it was 2014, can't remember, or 11, might have been 2011. Who knows?
Well, when you talk about transporting as a particular function, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you can capture something that, you know, is a bit unique. You and I have covered, I think, the only two skateboard movies that I can think of off the top of my head, Gleaming the Cube, and the other one was not Vision Quest, but something else. And in the 80s, and they were solid because it's kind of from the perspective, I'm not of like dude skater bro kind of thing, but just somebody that skateboards, a tool of the trade. And you know, when I was a kid, I used to do BMX a lot. I didn't do motocross or anything, but just, you know, there's a different thing to it. And one thing about movies I always thought was interesting is as long as you've got the idea down, you know, like I said before about cars, when we were talking Fast and Furious, is that in Bullet, it's not a car movie. It has a car chase in it, which is the ending.
But what do you remember for the car chase?
Well, it was just because there was nothing like it at the time, and the cameras
French
inside
Connection,
the
car chase,
exactly. But
Driver, car chase.
You take them out of it. They're still great movies because of everything else there. You can't just plug a bunch of people into a motley crew and cars and all that kind of stuff and then
Italian Job.
I mean, you can, but still, well, Italian Job, honestly, with Handsome Rob, this is where I'm going.
Yeah.
The other stuff that was going on at this time, one of the last things I was going to mention that made me think of this time period was that you had your Oceans 11, 12, and 13. Mm-hmm. Now, those are a reboot of the Frank Sinatra Oceans 11 films, where I believe, if I'm correct, they got caught with what they were doing back in the 60s because they had a crew. Back then, Frank Sinatra and his posse, the guy think that was a cool thing.
Yeah,
so
heist movies.
They're emulating, they're emulating coolness movies, right? And the heist nature of it, again, goes back to Cary Grant and all that. So these aren't new ideas. But it's a shame to me that nobody cares about cars that much anymore, about looking good, about being cool. James Bond, really, honestly, even Daniel Craig's movies just don't portray it the way that it used to.
Today's Cars movies are what the slop you get with the Fast Furious. That's the thing. It's like, no. If you want a good chase, you look at what we had with Mission Impossible. Now, not everybody likes the Mission Impossible movies. People don't like these are kind of far-fetched, kind of boring, whatever. And I'm thinking like, just go back and watch your dramas. Get out of here. You don't belong in this genre. You know, I like the chases. The Jason Bournes, I'm not a Matt Damon fan. I'm a Jason Bourne fan because
Right.
those are fantastic.
The first
And
movie is so good, bro.
and you can take any actor, and if it's a good script, believable, you can turn that actor into that action movie actor.
I
It's just
actually liked the last Jason Bourne movie in it that didn't have him in it, but it had the Mayor of Kingstown guy in it, the one that
yeah,
had the accident, because it was about how they became it, which is
yeah,
fine. It was cool. It was about the drugs and everything else there too. It's kind of interesting how you can create a universe just off of a good idea.
yeah. Yeah, Jim's saying that, to be fair, the most of today's cars suck. Yes, majority. I was honestly, dude, I was so depressed. I was driving to go get some of the food order earlier today, and I'm driving. I'm looking, there's a parking lot. I'm like, oh, there's a truck there. That's the cast. No, there's a car here, old car. And then look at all the crossovers. You can't even tell which is a Mazda, which is a Toyota, whatsoever. They're all the same looking. It looks like the little cars you get from the kids, your toy cars,
Mhm.
the little people. Remember, they all look the same.
Yep.
I said that's our future, and that's them trying to make everything all socialist crap.
Well, here's the thing. When and you know, when we
Yeah,
review Columbo and older shows here, I like to point out some of the old styles and all that kind of stuff and cars and whatnot.
muscle
I
cars.
can't
Yeah.
Well, I can't blame, well, because like we'll talk weapons too when we see them, right?
Mhm.
I cannot blame car manufacturers for making what they want because the government interferes with their ability to produce by regulating. There's regulations on cars with this and that percentage of yours have to be that. States do it. It's a big convoluted thing. So I blame the government. Back when we had Gus Gullers and all that shit back in the 70s, you can go watch if you're like me, and I'm a big John Carpenter mark, everybody knows that I shill that out. If you go back and you watch Escape from New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just talked about
The Pimp Mobile.
the Pimp Mobile, the guy. But I'm telling you, if you
Yeah.
rode in a Cadillac all through the 70s and the 80s and to some point in the 90s,
You knew
it
you
is
were.
a fucking grade A sweet ass ride. And you
It was
got
also a statement that you were rich.
and it was just a chill car. You were in it. It was big.
Yes.
And you had varieties, right? You could have a little Japanese car. You could have a little fast thing. You
Well,
could have,
that's the thing
like
too.
me, I
I
had
look
sports
at
cars. You don't have any
you
variety
had an
today. That's
identity
true.
back then, day. So if you got a car like this, you were driving around in was it a Yaris or a Yugo, whatever it was,
There's both.
everybody, yeah, everybody knew, like, well, okay, this person is either like, environmental person, or
Like a
just really
Subaru.
poor. So Suzuki Swifts,
Yep.
and just like, then you had the station wagons. Okay, station wagons, because that person probably has a family.
The
Then everybody
Clark
has a minivan.
Mobile.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though: the cars were an extension of your social status. You had a caddy, you were rich, or you were faking being rich, and you lived in your car. Those are nice. They're made to luxury, everything. So it made a statement. Just like today's now, everybody who drives now. I have a crossover. The one I got I have a Mazda. It is nice. I do like it. They features on it, but
But it's no
I
offense,
miss my
I
I
get
miss
it. Isn't it? It's boring, right? It has no
dude,
character.
I miss
It's
my
sterile.
'96 Dodge Avenger. I got it from my friend for like $300. It was rusting out because my other car got rented by somebody in Kia Soul, which I still hate. Kia Soul cars are the hamster cars. Yeah,
Yep.
destroyed my. I had a nice car before that. But my point is that, yeah, you watch these movies, today, and everybody has the same car. So it's like you're gonna pull up, hey bro, what's up? And it's like, oh, you have a McLaren, whatever it is. Like, okay, that's great. You have a McLaren. A lot of people have McLaren because you have a Corvette. If you don't have those, you're poor and you're driving a crossover or an SUV. SUVs are going away. A lot of them are becoming just ugly crossovers. They're like the Chevy Blazer is now the crossover vehicle. Truck, is it a car? We don't know. It's something. It's crossing over. We'll say with you. Uh,
I'm
my
telling
point
you,
is, yeah, you watch these older movies, you watch these cars. There's a I love. You could take these old cars. He's driving an Audi in here, I believe, right? Audi or just yeah, and
he's got a
just
Beamer.
or Beamer, yeah. Like those were known
There's
probably
Mercedes in
because
here
they're
too.
yes, but those were the cars known for luxury cars, but also had a lot of horsepower. So if your luxury, you're driving those, especially in Europe, those what you're driving, Audi, yeah, what you just said before, and just they're great. Ford Lightning, about the Chevy Volts, those are great. Center Fire,
Here's the thing, I do some trading on the side, so
yeah.
I've been interested in Ford, right? And I've had older cars, and
Mm-hmm.
like you, I've bought cars off the side of the road. Nobody will believe me when I sit there and say I got a 71 Firebird with a 450.
Do you flip them?
I had before when I was younger. I don't do it now,
Oh.
but because it wasn't much to fix them up. I got a Porsche from a married couple for $300. The cheap, shitty, poor man's Porsche, the 941,
Yeah,
with a full set of tires and a bunch of other stuff and all that, and it ran really, really well. I mean, I flipped that. That's the last car that I flipped.
yeah,
But it's
that's
now you now
crazy.
have to like go to a car show to see these things, right?
Yeah,
And I just miss them because it's like movies. They have a feel to them. They're like a car. Now everything almost looks the same because they're digital. So you're missing a lot of the shadow and the depth effects that your eyes pick out. Look, you can have Godzilla in a suit, and let's be honest, we know that it's Godzilla, but there's still something about if the filmmaker can film it in such a way where there's the right amount of perception, your brain will kind of fill into pieces. Like
yep.
Clash of the Titans is a great example. The stop
See,
motion anything by Ray Harryhausen, right?
it's
CGI should not be the main show of it, but everyone's making it, and it's an
no,
excuse,
and
it doesn't make up for
natural stunts these to do with Jackie Chan and stuff. I love those, the high stakes stuff. No one wants to do it because no one wants insurance, don't want to pay out, and the actors are not allowed to take their risks because their agent will let them. Blah blah blah. Yeah, we're talking about how the cars have gone away. Here's one thing that stayed constant: the motorcycles. Motorcycles have not changed really.
But do you think people ride motorcycles anymore? All
But
the Harley places here in Central Florida, honestly, they've closed down. And I don't know if that was because that was just rich people will get in a second car back in the day or what.
Harley Davidson is still putting on motorcycles. Eric Buell relaunched. He after the whole Obama crap, he rebuilt his company and he's building Buells again. And I said, like, you're seeing a lot of these motorcycle racing still popular. And there are still people buying. I still see Harleys, motorcycles always on the road here when it's getting warm out or even the nice out. And I'm thinking like these guys are crazy. They're salt on the road. You're gonna spit that all up into your motorcycle? You're an idiot. Yeah. But for the most part, motorcycles are still a big thing. You see a guy on a Harley or a chopper, it's like like you stop, you look at like, hey, I'm not a fan of choppers, but I'm like, that's custom made. That's kind of cool. You're gonna notice it. Same with these crotch rockets, the Kawasaki's. I remember how those were like insanely popular. The Ninjas,
right?
Yeah, it's like the '90s. Yeah, and honestly, when I pop was when I see like in the Mission Impossible because he was riding the motorcycles because you can get around town with them. Jason Bourne, do that stuff, and I love motorcycle chases. I love car chases, but like I said, if I can't get the nice looking car chases, give me a motorcycle chase because there'll always be motorcycles around. They're never gonna say, yeah. I don't. Yeah. Now, you can make fun of the little foreign cars if you want to. Like I think they did in Man from Uncle, the little Beamer. Remember they're in the little car got stuck sideways.
I did not see that, but you're talking the
Henry Cavill one. Yeah, they're in the car and they went to go turn around and they got stuck. The car got stuck and every kid wants to get out. He's like, "You freaking kidding me?" Because in the little narrow alleyways of like in Russia or wherever they were, Invincible, and I love those stuff. But yeah. But as far as this movie goes, I said it's back to an era where I still say this is probably the best era, or at least the last one of the great eras of movies being made. Said there was no heavy censorship, there was no pressure. You cannot do. You had a story, and the fact that it was written and basically all done by Luc Besson. Luc Besson paid and everything for everything. He financed this all on his own.
Yep.
And he released it outside of Hollywood. Had this, I'm curious though, at this time, had this been released in the United States and made in the United States instead of in France, I think it'd be a totally different movie. I don't think it'd be as much action because we've said this about when it comes to 80s action movies. The Hong Kong ones are way different than what you got in the American side.
You've always pointed that out, and I agree with you. The more we watch these films,
and the more I watch today, is a lot of CG and a lot of stuff. Especially the Hong Kong action movies we watch today too. Even in the 2000s, there's still some CG in there, though. But it's a lot of it's all about the martial arts, and the stories are still good. I think they are, and that's one of the things that they have over Hollywood right now. So the reason why a lot of people are watching K-dramas or anything else foreign is not American, because Americans have become all about, well, who's gay and who's sleeping with who. Like, no, and it has nothing to do with the story. The whole story is just basically like, I'm coming out, I'm like, okay, that's great. I don't care about that. It's an action movie.
Like
it's
the very famous show that everybody wants to
yeah,
support but really
yeah.
secretly hate. The title is called A
Um,
Stranger's Thing.
yeah, yeah. Game Freakness, what's up? Say asking what 1 through 3, which is better. I do like the if you're talking about the girls, I do like the redhead. That's in the third one. But first movie has always been my favorite. I said it's the first introduction to the character, and also my first introduction to Jason Statham. I watched Lock, Stock, and Smoking Barrels after this, and I think he might have been in Patch or Snatch.
Snatch.
Yeah, sorry, I was gonna say Patch Adams. That's a different thing. But yeah, he was in Snatch with, and as I said,
Robert Williams to reboot the transporter. They're going to use an AI generated voice and his body since he's dead.
It's Snatch. They're gonna combine the two.
Which one is better? I got to go one. But here's the thing.
Yeah,
I really, really love the Miami setting.
True.
That's our most European feeling kind of city here in the States. Definitely here in Central Florida. Well, South Florida. I'm a Central Florida guy here.
The location does make the movie. And I notice that's why you see a lot of these Fast and Furious movies are done overseas, and they're not really done in America, because a lot of the world, even though they're like they're third world countries, but they still have beautiful, untouched kind of like things, backgrounds. France is still kind of looking good. Now, I'd say the current day France, though, when you see all the, they're starting to look like San Francisco, shit everywhere. No thanks. But back then, it was always done. That's why I loved about the James Bond movies. They're always done. We was traveling the world and you get to see different sites, stuff, and it's just a fun movie overall. More to say about this is that I guess they according to you can look this on Wikipedia too. It says the movie was based on the film series, short films called The Hire, which was produced as a promotional effort by BMW.
Yes, well, yeah, because they had a bunch of them because you know who the BMW driver was before, and so 2002. This is before they announced.
And Clive Owen was the driver.
Clive Owen was my number one pick for James Bond at that time. I thought it was fantastic.
I liked him in International. I liked him, and I also liked him Shoot 'Em Up. Clive Owen and he was also in another movie, Aeon, I think it was, Aeon, where he's a cop, and it was a dystopian world where basically everything was recorded, where you are and stuff. So when he came across, this girl was able to scramble, so the cameras couldn't tell who she was.
Okay.
I love those dystopian movies like that. But overall, Clive Owens, I thought he was good. I always wondered, like, what happened to him? He just kind of like dropped. Either he aged out.
He was recently in he played a detective getting Alzheimer's, and that was Philip Marlowe. It was filmed in France, a few episodes. He's still been active, but mostly overseas. He should have been James Bond. I wonder how the writers would have shit on him, though, just like they did Daniel Craig. But Daniel Craig apparently has had a lot of influence on all the movies, especially since the first one, for a lot of reasons, for better or for worse. But yeah, Clive Owen was the man.
So if you're gonna look for this movie, try to get the ones that were not solely get the uncut ones. Japan and Europe have France, have the uncut versions, which are rated R. This is PG-13 because of, like I said, Hollywood can't do certain things. If you say those, you can only say the F word once. After that, it becomes like. So I always loved when you get those movies like where they're like, well, we're gonna see the F-bomb 30 times.
One last question for my kind of final thoughts, because I've already started off saying it's a great film. Everyone should see it. It's a fantastic action film, one of the best of the decade to me. What do you think of? Oh, how do I say it? Well, you go on with your final thoughts. I'll close with mine.
Well, final thoughts is that the reason this movie was great because you had the fight scenes that were basically directed by Yuen, and he also had Leterrier was directing majority of the film, doing everything else because Yuen was focusing on the fight scene. That's why we get that fight scene with the grease lake stuff was so great, because it just felt like an action. This literally felt like a Hong Kong action 80s movie. And that's why I liked it the most.
Was that your favorite action piece?
For Hollywood
for this movie, I mean,
honestly, those grease fight and the car chase, but yeah, mostly it was the grease fight scene because that's the most standable, and not because I'm like, hey, I like seeing him shirtless. No, it's because
you should see him shirtless. He's got a nice physique.
Well, yeah, honestly, it's that. And well, that was action movies too. Bruce Lee would take his shirt off too. Like
that's right.
Yeah, so this
we
guy.
have a big audience. It's appealed to
So
everybody.
it was a callback to like that too. So I said the Grease Licks fight was creative. Before this, I never saw anybody sliding on grease and then taking out bad guys, dodging stuff, and the bad guys are slipping, falling over because they don't know how to fight. It's like when you see people fighting on an ice rink and they're slipping and falling. And the one guy is just kind of like because he actually did he like tape something to his feet?
He figured that out too. Yeah,
brushes, yeah.
yeah.
So he
So
started
just stand
sliding.
in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was great. And the real quickly answer game for instances, we do live talk about these. We on every movies on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern. We do TV show reviews at 5:30 or which is basically 6:30 Eastern. And we also on Tuesdays it's at 8 p.m. Eastern. So the schedule is right above when you go to actually the homepage on our channel. The schedule is right above on the banner.
Or on Twitter too for me,
Yeah,
at least on my handle.
Yeah,
Drop Media
yeah.
Network.
So if you made it, I was saying if you made this R, you lose a lot of the audience. Hugh Jackman took a pay cut to make Logan rated R because you get less audience. But yeah, sure, you cut out the kids stuff, but sometimes movies that should be rated R are kind of nerfed. Like if you're doing a Punisher movie and they make it PG-13, you can't. No, because Punisher is known for these brutal kills and stuff like that. He doesn't care. He's gonna put a grenade in your mouth. I want to see the head exploding. That's what I love about The Boys. The Boys works well with that because that's what the comic book was. I don't like it when we have when you exactly. When you have to censor, like, what was it, the Nightmare on Elm Street? One where the girl, she's running a marathon and then she goes the rope and it cuts her head off. You see it flying. How dumb that was, because they had to make it like PG, But
I'll say this:
don't nerf just don't nerf the source material. That's what I don't like about it.
Agreed. Now, the last final thought I have here too, and I'll just share with you because we kind of talked about it a little bit here too.
Sure.
But during the holidays, we usually talk a little bit more horror and stuff like that, stuff that maybe you don't care for as much like I do because that's my favorite. But we always agree that we like to go back and do old movies, classics, Humphrey Bogart's, Robert Mitchum's, those sorts of things. And then we do Christmas movies, which are not my favorite, but we go through holiday type films, right? So to me, one of the things that came up, and you and I had reviewed recently with Eric Brain, a longtime fan of the channel, he likes to come on with us occasionally, and we did A Touch of Evil with Orson Welles. Orson Welles made probably one of the movies that for the longest time people consider was the greatest one, where he says Rosebud at the end and all that, Citizen Kane. And one of the knocks, if you will, on him was that he made such a great, perfect movie his first time out, whatever, that no matter how good he was as an actor, writer, director, everything talent-wise, everything went downhill from that because you can't improve on like A+, right? I'm not saying this in a negative way at all about Jason Statham. And I mean, I could argue that if you died 10, 20 years ago, we'd still have the best of Jason Statham. That's the point I'm trying to make here. He hit a home run with this movie. I think it really helped because Luc Besson's touch and cast him in it. Maybe I don't know if he feels like it's beneath him why he would never go back if they relaunched it. I would love it if he did like something. He doesn't need to. He's making money hand over fist, does what he wants. So I'm happy to watch his films.
He's doing Shelter.
I'm a little disappointed only in that I liked him so much, and like one of the gentlemen said in our comments here earlier on in the stream, is that he's kind of aging out of it a little bit too. And I wish we could have somebody come out that could do this, because right now I love Reacher, but let's be honest, each Reacher book is exactly the same thing. It's a story, same template. Don't mind it at all, but they intentionally chose the stories where they could have a multicultural cast to it and a diverse thing rather than focusing where he's just one-on-one for the most part. Still a great show. We like it. But I don't think Alan can do, it'll be way too expensive. They're spending like 5, 10, 15 million an episode. That's why some of these seasons are getting shorter on all these shows. That's why they can't do 20 seasons of it if they wanted to. They just can't logistically.
Yeah.
We need another action person. We do. And I'm feeling a little sad right now saying that, but it's true.
Well,
it's 2026 and this is 2002.
Glenn Powell could be the action guy. It's just that he needs the guy that was in The Running Man. That Glenn Powell, I think it was. I can't remember what his name was. Guy who's also from I said he's in the new Running Man movie, the new star.
He's 40 years old. He's 37.
Yeah, but
the problem with him is he does cute shit, and you can't do that if you're an action guy.
The only other person I could think of that I really would wish would have done more action stuff after watching him in Blade Runner 2049 is Ryan Gosling. He did the Gray Man.
Yeah.
And
I don't hate Ryan, but I don't
but I
love him.
also think we need another.
Better than what he is. I just don't know.
We need another Michael Dudikoff. That's what we need. We need another casting call. Where is Canon Films?
We need some hunky man meat that's under 30 that can do this in an old school sort of way. I agree.
I mean, it's hard to find them these days, because they're not, when they do find them, they're looking for specific things. And like I said, they're not really looking for action movies. So you could still do it. There are still some Japanese, or even Korean, martial artists. It's just that they don't want to put the money behind it. I would have loved to see we had Jet Li with Jason Statham in that one movie. I think that was
I just
war. Yeah, but I need more movies I need Crank. The first one was just
Crank was fun.
yeah. You look at Cellular. That was another one. That was another one too.
Yep.
Just stuff like that. It's just Ghost of Mars. Just let's go back to the 90s and early 2000s movies, and just let's look at what did well, and let's keep going. Killer Elite was another good one I liked while he was in there. That was 2011. What was he also in? Jason Statham also did the weird one called In the Name of the King.
A Dungeon Siege Tale.
Yeah. I think Rob Lowe was the bad, or no, I think Rob Lowe was a wizard in one of those movies. It might have been Your Highness. I don't know. But yeah, the action star has been dying off for a long time. We need to get some more people in there. There are some younger people who are trying to step up. We have Kingsman, guy who played Eggsy, was doing pretty well. But yeah, if you want gritty action movie stuff, we need to start bringing in some of the younger people in there.
It would be based further in 2026 or on the
But we're gonna end it right here though, because I do have to go do another live stream, and Rob has to go do his Rob things.
Hey, Marcus, get ready to open, sir. Got to go check something.
The new one, Shelter, looks really good. Well, it looks really good.
We'll be reviewing that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Working Man, I actually liked that one. I thought it was pretty good. But Beekeeper was better, definitely better than it. But
I will just end with this. I did go see. Finally, I didn't mention it to you, RDV, because I know you'd throw up everywhere. But I did see the second or third best when animals attack. A movie of all time.
The shark one.
No, I'm trying to keep a straight face because there's Shakma. Then we reviewed.
You watched the ape movie.
Primate. Yeah, so I got to think about that. All right, everybody. Good night. Thanks for watching.
What was the other one called? Lucky.
Link.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go check out that movie.
Yes, from the 80s.
Later, guys.